Ahoy, this is Zdenka. I've said it many times before, I'm gonna say it now, I'm sure I'm gonna say it again in the future. It has never been more important than now to have multiple income streams to create passive income if you are a photographer, videographer, or creator. I've been shooting stock since 2007, so many years, and sure, there have been times where you could have made a lot of money from it because it was not so saturated. It was not so full of images. Right now, it's overloaded with photos. So it's quite difficult to stand out, but you can still make some money. You can still create at least one income stream. And if you have multiple income streams, combine it as one, you will end up with quite a lot of money. So if you have some spare time or you have some photos sitting on your hard drive collecting dust, how about instead of collecting dust, let them collect a few bucks here and there, some money. But it is not so easy. If you are a brand new photographer or if you are very new to stock, frustrations might run very high because you will get probably a lot of rejections. Stock agencies have very high standards. They have a lot of rules which you will need to follow in order to have your images accepted. So naturally, over the years, I figure out ways how to get my acceptance rate to 100%. And even some images which have technical imperfections can be fixed. So in today's video, I'm gonna share my cheat sheet. So hopefully get rid of that frustration. Hopefully this will help you. There are a number of reasons why photos get rejected. Some of them can be missing model release, trademark, incorrect keywords, limited commercial value, and stuff like that. But in today's video, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about stuff like focus, noise, composition, the technical stuff. What I did, I pulled out some of my past photos I took for stock. Some of them are quite old. I chose specifically the ones which have some sort of a problem, and they simply wouldn't be accepted if I just did minor corrections and submitted them. Number one is focus. Let's talk about that. Whenever you take photo of an object, the main object should be sharp. If I'm taking photo of a person's face, then obviously the eyes need to be sharp. Ideally, when you look at your photo of the object you took and whatever draws the main attention of the photo, like the main object, that should be in focus, nicely sharp. Sometimes though, when you take a photo, it looks good on a camera, but then you upload it on a computer, put it at 100%, and you see that maybe other part of the face is nicely sharp, but the eyes are a little bit blurry, or one eye is much sharper than the other one. That can be saved. So let's go to Photoshop. Let's look at this photo. When I zoom in at 100%, the hair and the beard is perfectly sharp, but the middle of the face, nose and eyes are blurry. That would get rejected absolutely. With lasso tool, I'm going to draw around the eyes, which are blurry the most. Then I go to select, modify, feather, and let's select 12. What it means is that the selection will not be sharp. It will feather down the edge. It will blend in. Next, I just go to filter and sharpen. If I feel that it is not enough, I do it again, but then if it is too much, I can tone it down by going to Edit, Fade, Sharpen. Make sure it's not way too strong, don't over sharpen. Bottom line, when you are taking photo, half press the shutter button to make sure that the eyes aren't in focus and then recompose the shot. My clients used to laugh at me because all I was doing is up and down. To them, it was very funny. Also, selecting the right aperture and shutter speed is the key. Whenever I'm taking photos of the models, because you don't want to go too low because you would have just very little area selected, everything else would be blurry. Whenever I was taking photo with 50mm lens or 70-200 telephoto lens, my aperture is usually set to 2.8. Shutter speed. If it is way too slow, it will definitely result in blurry image. So you do need to increase your shutter speed. Let's move on to the next one. Another huge rejection is usually because of poor composition or framing. Make sure that when you take photos, the horizon is nicely leveled up. Or did you crop too much of the image? Is part of the arm missing? Is part of the main object missing and it just doesn't make sense? Or are you cropping way too close to the main object so there's no room for possible text or graphics? Because that's what advertisers like to do. Let's look at the set I took with Peter and let's go through photos. I'll explain why I framed them the way they are framed. This might help you understand a bit more what the buyers actually want in a commercial world. I'm going to start with the section Learn from my mistakes. This first set was absolutely a failure. None of the photos got sold. Him working out in the park on those easy, no resistance exercise machines. First of all, super bulky guy will not probably work out here much. Might do some stretching at the most. He will rather hit the gym and really put some weights in a place. Second of all, some of the expressions he was doing was clearly my mistake because they were screaming for fake. He's simply not gonna push that hard working on those non-resistant machines. What I should have done instead is place some very average model looking, maybe somebody even much older, even elderly, wearing a casual clothes, happening to walk by, do some stretching there and light exercises. The next set was huge success though. They sold like hotcakes. Lifestyle photos of him running, doing yoga and exercising. Very natural setting which looks believable and the colors are punchy. Let's look at the framing finally. Some of the photos I cropped just very close to frame the model. On these few images, he was simply looking way too intense and straight to the camera, so it didn't look so believable and they didn't sell. On the other hand, the same close cropped images where there is even space around him from all the sides, where he's looking off the camera, looking really real and natural, feeling like candid moment, there was no photographer taking photos. These images sold very well. When he was sitting down and I made the wide shots, I made him to turn towards the center of the image. If you think that some of the images are simply overexposed, where the sky is bleached in stock, they really don't mind this at all. It gives them this white space, white background, where they can potentially write something, they can place graphics. So leaving these empty spaces wherever you think would be suitable is a good thing. Just make sure it's not facing out of the image, but center of the image. And obviously make sure there is even space on the top and bottom. On this photo, I left intentionally a lot of space at the bottom. I thought they could add some text there. I was wrong. That image doesn't sell. What I should have done instead is leaving a lot of space above his head. And the same thing repeats. When I feel that the photo looks better where he is in the center, I just place him in a center. When I feel that there could be some room for some text, I'll move him a little bit off center. So I apply rule of thirds here. And usually I leave the space in the direction he is looking. So he would be looking at the text or graphics. Another huge one which will get your photos kicked out is artifacts and noise in the photos. Let me pull out raw, unretouched photo of this model. It looks okay when you look at it 100%, but once I start bringing the brightness down and contrast up and look at the hair area, you will see the grain, those dots. That would not pass, for sure not. So in this case, I just do very simple fix. I'm going to select the blur tool, select strength you want, and literally blur out the areas where the grain is happening. Making sure I don't go into the areas which are supposed to be sharp. So blur tool, select soft brush, and again strength about 50%, even higher. Just be very gentle. You don't want to make it too blurry. You just want to hide the noise. And that's all. That's why it's very important to look at the photos at 100% and go through every single part. If there is any dust spot, which is also called artifacts, it needs to be taken out. Those usually happen if you have dust on the sensor or you didn't clean your lens for a while. And lastly, everything else. Stock prefers natural colors, so make sure the color balance is the way it should be. The skin looks real. Don't make the images too contrasty or too dull. That is why you should always shoot in RAW, because when you start editing, you can always switch the white balance in Photoshop. Don't oversaturate, use vibrance in Lightroom instead. That will bring the colors pop, but won't affect skin. If you use saturation tool, it will also make the skin look really orange. And lighting, the photos should not be underexposed or overexposed. Just pull out histogram on the screen, on the camera when you take photos. That should help huge. I have linked few helpful videos in a video description, for example, how to use histograms, so check that out. Hit the thumbs up if you liked today's video, if you found it useful, and don't forget to subscribe to future videos because we will slowly move on to stock footage. All the tips and tricks are coming out. If you have any questions, simply want to say hi or ahoy, you know what to do. You can always leave it in the comment section below. Best of luck with stock, and I'll see you, my friends, in the next video. Ciao, ahoy.